The topic taken for discussion is the Indian Contract Act 1872. So, the Indian Contract Act, regarding the introduction, we want to say something about introduction. It got its assent, the Indian Contract Act got its assent on 25th April 1872, and it came into force on 1/9/1872. So it creates the jus in personam or right in personam. That means the right can be created in between two parties. That is called jus in personam, right against a particular person between two parties. That is called Contract Act. Actually, in day-to-day life, we are coming across with so many contracts. It may be express contract or implied contract. So, for example, we are engaging a laborer for doing a work, and after finishing the work, he will be demanding the labor charge. So, that is called a contract without any writing. That is called implied contract. Likewise, we are traveling in bus or train. We have to pay the train fare. That is, we have to obtain the ticket, train ticket or bus ticket. So that is called the contract between railway and the passengers. So these are all called implied contracts. Though there is no written contract, it is called implied contracts. That means we should know that one should know the law. We don't know the law means that will not be heard. So all should know the law of the land. That is an important issue. Suppose a friend of mine is asking for a party. So he will tell the date, time, venue and all the things. So I have to go for the party. But if I fail to go to the party, whether he can sue me for not attending the party? It cannot, because these are called social obligations. Just he is requesting, or he is by friendship and all, he is asking to attend the party. If we could not attend the party, he cannot sue. These are all called social obligations. And now we will see what is contract and state the essential elements of the contract. First we will see what is contract. Section 2 with a subsection H, that is Indian Contract Act 1872, that is an agreement enforceable by law is called contract according to section 2H. That means there should be two elements should be there. One is called agreement and another is called enforceable law. All agreement cannot be enforced by law. So what are the agreements which can be enforced by law or in court, then that alone can be constituted as the contract. Then according to, now we will see the section 10 of Indian Contract Act 1872, that is all agreements or contracts, if they are made by that is all agreements or contracts, provided the contract should have the elements such as free consent of parties. The consent, two parties should agree, that is called free consent. There should not be any force to agree for the contract, that is called free consent of the parties. Then they should also be competent to contract. Suppose if a lunatic person is there, he is not competent to enter into contract. So competent to contract is very, very important. And the third one should be a lawful consideration should be there. It is always called quid pro quo, one for another. Suppose if I agree to sell my car, the other should pay the amount for that car, that is the price for that car, that is called consideration. As regards for mine, the amount which I receive is called consideration. As regards the other party, the car which he receives is called consideration. That is called quid pro quo. And that should also be lawful. It should not be unlawful. And then the lawful object are not expressly declared to be. And lawful object should also be there. It should not be for any illegal purpose. Suppose the contract for against the law of the land, against the land, against the country, then it is called like illegal object. So lawful object should be there. Then so these are all called the what is contract. That is the definition which we have given. Now we will see the elements of a contract. What are the ingredients or elements should be there in a valid contract. Then the first point is there should be two parties to the contract. And then that means one may offer and another accept. That is called two parties to a contract. That is called contract in personam. Then the parties intend to create legal obligation, and then they should have the intention to create legal obligations. That is the legal obligation should be there. Legal obligation means each and every person should oblige the other. That is called legal obligation. In an ordinary language we are using obligation, may do, please do, like that. It is not like that. It is compulsory you have to do that legally. That is called legal obligation. To create legal obligations, and in that we will see the legal obligation. The case study, we will see one case study, that is Balfour versus Balfour. In this, what the important thing in this, the husband agreed to pay the maintenance. He is not in, he is in abroad, so he has agreed to give his wife the maintenance when he is in abroad. But while he is in abroad, but the husband failed to pay the promised amount. Then wife sued the husband for not paying the money as the maintenance. Here in this case, what it was decided, the wife cannot recover the amount because the promised amount, that is by the husband as maintenance, because it is a social agreement. It doesn't create any legal obligation, so that it doesn't create any legal relations. So no legal obligation is there. That's why the wife cannot claim the maintenance. Then the third point is contract must be in writing. All contract should be in writing, because the writing only will speak, and there should be very careful the in writing, contract writing, each and everything should be in writing. How the payment should be done, and the time, and what all things to be supplied, everything should be in writing, clearly spelled out, all sort of elements, and all sort of legal things should be in the contract. A small thing may create legal problems, so it should be in writing. And certainty of meaning, there should be, the contract should be for certain important purpose, that is certainty of meaning. Then possibility of performance of contract. Suppose if the contract could not be performed, it is such a Himalayan task, then it cannot be. So it should be possibility of performance should also be there, and there should be offer and acceptance. One should offer and another should accept. That is promiser and promisee. The promiser should be there and promiser should also be there. That is called offer and acceptance, according to section 2E of Contract Act 1972. Then free consent should be there. There should not be any forcible consent. Suppose you do this, like that, you do that, I will pay this, you have to supply this, like that, the contract should not be. So freely they, with their full obligations, with their full mind, they have to consent to the contract. That is called free consent. And capabilities of parties, that is the parties' capability should also be there. That is with regard to the age of parties, a minor cannot entertain in the contract. The party should be in sound mind and not to be disqualified by law. Suppose the law prescribes certain things, they are not eligible to enter into contract, then they cannot have the contract. So not to be disqualified by law. So these are all the capabilities of parties should also be there in the contract. And then the lawful consideration of and object. So lawful consideration should be there and a lawful object should also be there. Suppose if somebody is entering into contract, I will say for example, though it may be, I will keep you and I will pay this amount, or I will give you the house, you should be a concubine for me, like that. If at all if it is there, it is not contract, because there is no lawful consideration and no lawful object also there. For unlawful object and unlawful consideration is not at all valid in entry into the contract. Then not expressly declared to be void. Suppose if any void is there in the contract, then it is not a contract. Then an illegal agreement is an agreement expressly or impliedly prohibited. An illegal agreement should not be there. That is the meaning. And a void agreement is without any legal effects. So usually a void agreement is without any legal effects. There may not be any, legally we cannot enforce it as a contract. In தமிழ் கான்ட்ராக்ட் என்பது ஒரு ஒப்பந்த சட்டம். இந்த சட்டம் 25 ஏப்ரல் 1872 வந்தது. நடைமுறைக்கு வந்த தேதி செப்டம்பர் 1 தேதி 1872. இந்த கான்ட்ராக்ட் என்பது இரண்டு பேர்களிடையே ஏற்படும் ஒரு ஒப்பந்தம். வேறு ஒருவரும் இதில் தலையிட முடியாது. இதில் முக்கியமாக நாம் பார்க்க வேண்டியது என்னென்னா, ஒரு அக்ரிமெண்ட் என்பது என்னவென்றால், எல்லா அக்ரிமெண்ட்டும் an agreement is said to be a contracted, but the agreement should be enforceable by law. சட்டப்படியான அதனை வலியுறுத்தக்கூடிய எந்த ஒரு அக்ரிமெண்ட்டிற்கும் கான்ட்ராக்ட் என்று பெயர். அந்த ஒப்பந்தத்திற்கு கான்ட்ராக்ட் என்று பெயர். எனவே இரண்டு முக்கிய அங்கங்கள் இருக்கின்றது. ஒன்று அக்ரிமெண்ட், இன்னொன்று என்ஃபோர்ஸபிள் பை லா. சட்டத்தின் வழியாக அதனை வலியுறுத்தப்படுகின்ற எல்லா ஒப்பந்தங்களும் கான்ட்ராக்ட் எனப்படுவது. தென் இதில் உள்ள முக்கியமான அங்கங்கள், ஒன்று ஃப்ரீ கன்சென்ட் இருக்க வேண்டும், காம்பட்டன்ட் டு கான்ட்ராக்ட் இருக்க வேண்டும், அப்புறம் லாஃபுல் கன்சிடரேஷன் இருக்க வேண்டும், அண்ட் லாஃபுல் ஆப்ஜெக்ட். இது முக்கியமான அம்சங்கள். பிறகு எலிமெண்ட்ஸ் ஆஃப் கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஒரு 10 முக்கியமான அங்கங்கள் வகிக்கிறது. இதனையெல்லாம் இருந்தால் அது வேலிட் கான்ட்ராக்ட் என்று பெயர். அந்த கான்ட்ராக்டை நாம் வலியுறுத்த முடியும். So with this we conclude this topic, what is contract and elements of contract. These two things we have discussed in this video.